What's up, everybody? Today we're going to talk about capitalism and corporations. Now, for starters, what is capitalism? Well, capitalism is the private ownership of goods. For example, corporations like Walmart or Costco owning things instead of the government owning things. Now, before we start off with the pros and cons, we're going to debunk some misconceptions that usually occur at both ends of the political spectrum. Conservatives often think that capitalism will decrease the amount of government control on the people, increasing the amount of freedom they have. Well, here's why capitalism might not be such a big solution. If the government has little or no control over the economy, then that means a couple of rich private industries will control everything, down to every last ideology, every single television show or food brand. For example, if you go to Walmart and you look at the rows and rows of stocked goods, all these different brands, so many choices, well, that's actually an illusion because, see, all these brands are owned by a couple of corporations. Same goes if you turn on your TV, you can see all these different TV shows and different channels. Well, it might not be as diverse as you thought. See, all of these TV shows are also owned by several corporations. For example, Fox owns Fox News and Cosmos and National Geographic. Let that sink in. Fox News is like probably one of the worst things that has ever happened to media. And meanwhile, they have a bunch of science shows. The left-wing hippies think capitalism is bad and we should occupy Wall Street. Without capitalism, we won't have any television shows. You wouldn't have your cell phone. You wouldn't have your camera. Most of the things you buy comes from capitalism. Without the simple distribution of goods, then food could not sustain 7 billion people. You can't have small companies sending out food to 7 billion people at a cheap price. Now let's examine the pros and cons. As for the pros, there is an easy distribution of goods at a cheap price. It will sustain an economy and many millions of people, and also it will encourage prosperity of a country. As for the cons, corporations can get way too much power. They can give way too much money to single individuals at the top of the class and pay its employees such little money. For example, half of the Walmart employees require food stamps. Also, sometimes it can be more expensive. See, what I mean is, a lot of food industries don't pay their workers that much money, so they often rely on people giving them tips at the end of their meals. And it seems like you're forcing the customer to give them that amount of money. Well, what if they weren't a good waitress or waiter? Also, if healthcare was privatized, then you would see millions of people all across the country having to scrounge for their health insurance. Say you were a middle-class person just passing by with your average income and family, and then suddenly you get diagnosed with cancer. And then you won't have enough money to pay off that. So what are you gonna do? Go deal drugs? Actually, that would be a pretty good idea for a TV show. So in conclusion, capitalism is perfectly fine as long as corporations do not get too much power, and the amount of power the government and the corporations share will balance out.